Great. I'm sorry for the delay this evening. It is 6:09 on the 5th of October, and I'm going to call us back from closed session at 6:09. And we're going to go into anything to report out, and there is nothing to report out. But I just want to remind everybody, this meeting is recorded and for live streaming and archiving on the district YouTube channel. And if I could get, would you like to lead us in the pledge tonight? Thank you.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated. Okay, can I get an approval of the agenda as written, please?
I move that we approve the agenda as written.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please. Yes.
Trustee Grubbs, Trustee Moss, Trustee Maselli, and Trustee Hirsch. Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to our first item of the evening, item 8, highlight, and I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Wright.
Okay, good evening. At this time, I'd like to introduce Principal Brianna Kleinschmidt. She has our governing board highlight this evening.
Good evening. I am lucky enough to have two highlights for you tonight. I'm going to start off with talking about one of our students we're very proud of, David Broom, and tell you a little bit about why before I ask him to come up and join me. So last month, officials of the National Merit Scholarship Corporation announced the names of more than 16,000 semifinalists in the 2024 National Merit Scholarship Program. And these academically talented high school seniors have an opportunity to continue in the competition for about 7,000 or so National Merit Scholarships worth nearly $28 million that will be offered in the spring. To be considered for this scholarship award, semifinalists, including David, must fulfill several requirements to advance to the finalist level of the competition. About 95% of the semifinalists are expected to attain finalist standing, and about half of the finalists will win a National Merit Scholarship, earning the Merit Scholar title. And so we're very excited to announce that David Broom has qualified as a semifinalist in the 2024 program. Now, this is out of over 1.3 million juniors in about 21,000 high schools that entered the National Merit Scholarship Program by taking the 2022 PSAT, which is also the National Merit Scholarship qualifying test. This serves as the initial screen of program entrance, and the nationwide pool of semifinalists represent less than 1% of U.S. high school seniors, so quite an award. And so we're very proud of David's accomplishment and excited to share this with you tonight. I reached out to a few of his teachers and want to share some of their congratulations as well. Ms. Thompson had this to say: one of the things that stands out to me about David is his work ethic. He's incredibly focused and diligent in his work and preparation, and it shows in his work. Gina Marwick, who works in our College and Career Center, says that she's known David actually since kindergarten, and that he's equally kind and thoughtful as he is smart. He does an excellent job of setting goals, breaking down the steps, and pushing himself to meet them. So I have a certificate for him here tonight, and I'll call him up to join us.
Yeah, this is something that definitely took a lot of dedication and hard work on my part in studying for, and I'm glad that I could represent Benicia with my accomplishment.
So proud of you. Why don't you just stand back here? You come over here, right here. Right in between. Oh, there. Congratulations, David.
All right. For our second highlight, you might have noticed a few folks in the audience in their blue and gold tonight. Very excited to welcome our girls flag football team, or several members of the team here tonight. We have Coach Rod, Coach Ryan, Coach Cole, who you might recognize. And then also to represent the team, seniors Riley, Chloe, Morgan, and Haley. And then sophomores Michaela and Katie, who are also captains this year. And representing the freshmen, Emma and Holly. And I'd love for them to come up as I tell you just a little bit, and I'll let them share with you also. This is pretty historical. We don't get to add new sports and new teams very often. And CIF voted last year to add girls flag football to high school sports. And it's been amazing. I think it's been so much better than we even had hoped or expected it would be. Thanks to our coaches. Thanks to just the way that the team has been playing. It's so neat to be out there. I got to hold the box. I learned it was called the down box yesterday and help out with the game. And the officials just were happy to be there. They're loving working with our team this way. And it's just been a really positive experience. We have another student, one of our leadership students, who comes out after football practice and announces the games for us. Our advanced digital media is live streaming the games, and so it's just been great first year out. So with that, I'll see if anybody's going to come up and there we go.
Hi, hello. We're your first Benicia High School flag football team. The season's been very, I don't know, we just didn't know what to expect. We kind of just set expectations and just been having fun. So, yeah. Yes.
When's your next home game?
It's 10, is it Monday? It's on Monday.
And we also have senior night.
And senior night's 10-11 Wednesday.
Does anybody else want to say anything about what makes this so exciting to have the first Benicia High School flag football?
For me, it's just been like a super fun experience because I play softball like more competitively, but I thought it was a really cool opportunity to like do something for fun, and I'm just really glad that like we were all able to come together from like all our different sports and just like have fun together but still compete.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to say anything? This is a big deal, you guys. This is very
I
exciting.
just want to invite you guys out for particularly maybe senior night, Wednesday, October 11th. If you've never seen girls flag football, it's a little bit different from regular football in that it's faster. It's only two 20-minute halves, if you will, and the pace is a lot faster. So there's a sense of urgency that we're working on. We have a combination of soccer players, softball players, basketball players, a couple track stars. No tennis players because it's the same season, unfortunately. And it's great on the sidelines, like Miss Kleinschmidt. I got her to work, and so we just would love to see you out there to see a game, even if you could only stay for. We're working on that. It's a 5, 6, 7. It's a 3-team situation called Jamboree. So you play, and then you either sit out or you play again. So you can probably be safe to catch us at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Congratulations.
Are you going to do pictures?
Come on back.
All right, so we'll stand back here.
Principal Kleinschmidt.
I'll get behind.
Oh, right there. Here, come right here. There we go. There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
right. Thank you so much, Ms. Kleinschmidt, and everybody that came to celebrate. This is great. All right, we're going to move on to our board reports, or our reports, rather. And our first up is our student reports, and I have Jackie Garcia here representing Liberty High School. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, President Zeta, Superintendent Dr. Wright, fellow trustees, and cabinet members. My name is Jackie Garcia, and it's a pleasure to be here tonight representing Liberty High School. Last week, we held our monthly assembly honoring our September birthdays, advisory all-stars, students with perfect or near perfect attendance. Special shout out to Matthew B. and Ethan B. for having perfect period attendance. We are continuing to honor Hispanic Heritage Month. We have begun to construct our ofrenda, and we will continue to add it throughout the month. We are encouraging all students and staff to contribute. Liberty students have many leaving to learn opportunities. This week, we went to the Aquarium by the Bay, Solano Community College Auto Program, and tomorrow, several students are participating in Trips for Kids mountain biking. Thank you to Mr. Nelson and Javi for putting this together. We have begun our partner with both Mary Farmer and Robert Semple to bring back our Playground Pals. Students from Liberty, along with their advisor, go to our elementary school partners and play with the younger students. We do chalk art, play soccer, and basketball. We have even played Red Light, Green Light, and Duck Duck Goose. We hope to continue building these wonderful relationships. On behalf of Liberty High School, thank you.
Thank you. And you are welcome to leave. You don't need to sit through the whole meeting unless you would like to. We would love to have you, but we understand you have pressing things to handle. But thank you for being here tonight. And next up, we have the superintendent report, Dr. Wright.
Good evening. I just want to start out by sharing some must-see events. We're having a budget roadshow on Tuesday, October 10th at 6 p.m. here in the boardroom. Just come and learn about school finance, what the state trends are, and the impact that it has on the BUSD budget. It's a collaboration between BUSD and School Services of California. The event will be in person. We will live stream the event as well. It'll also be recorded and sent out and posted on our website so you can look at it at a later time. We're having a vaping awareness evening as well. It's Benicia Friday Night Live. It's a student-run organization in the Solano Youth Coalition. They're going to share information around the health effects, youth trends, tips for talking with students, parents, local resources. There'll be a Q&A as well. And that's going to take place on November 15th at 6 p.m. And again, we're going to live stream that event, and we'll also record it and post it on our webpage so you can look at it at a later time. Saturday, October 21st, Storybook Stroll. Benicia Reads, which is a partnership between the district and also the city of Benicia. We encourage our family with children of all ages to meet at St. Paul's Square on the corner of 1st and J Street. Take a stroll, walk around 1st Street. We'll have folks reading stories and poems to our families. Snacks are provided by our Benicia Kiwanis Club. I had an opportunity to attend last year. It's a great event, so we encourage everyone to come out and support. Coffee with the Superintendent. On October 10th, I will attend BMS at 8 a.m. And on the 17th, I will attend Joe Henderson at 8 a.m. So I'm looking forward to engaging with our parent community. And in addition to Hispanic Heritage Month, the month of October has also been recognized as Filipino American Heritage Month in California since 2009. And that's significant, especially here in California, as the first Filipino American settlers landed in what we now know as Morro Bay on October 18th, 1587. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Moving on to our board reports at this time. Do any of our trustees have anything to share this time around? No?
Just very briefly, I did attend with the committee that I'm on, the Liberty Oversight Committee, so in connection with the Rotary Club. So really good meeting, a lot of great things to come. So I'll let the principal share when she comes to the meeting. So, but it was a good meeting. So.
You know what? You reminded me. I do have a report. I attended with Dr. Wright. We went to the Rotary Club golf benefit that benefited the school district, and I just want to say a huge thank you to the Rotarians. And it was a great turnout, a great time, and like I said, it benefits our district. It's awesome. Thank you.
Great, thank you for sharing that. I've been to that before as well. It's a wonderful event. Anything? No. I don't have anything either, I'm sorry. So we're gonna move right on to comments from members of the public. All functions of the board meeting, including public comment, will take place in person. Members of the public may address the board at a regular meeting on any item within the board's jurisdiction. Speaker cards are available on the entrance table. Please note the item you wish to speak to and submit a card to the board secretary. The board president will then call open session general comments during the public comment item. Comments for items on the agenda will be called during the specific item. Comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes per speaker, or the board may limit the total time to 20 minutes per item with the timer displayed on our monitors. By law, no action may be taken on any item raised during public comment periods, and matters may be referred to staff for placement on a future agenda of the governing board. And please be reminded to keep your comments respectful as students may be watching. Thank you. So I do have some public comments this evening. First of all, I'd like to welcome Miss Monica Brown up to the podium. She is one of our county supervisors, Solano County. So welcome, Monica.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate, I'm assuming, I don't see the word chair there, but I'm assuming since you're running the meeting, it is. All right, so thank you for introducing me. I have tidings of great joy. Oh, that's right, wrong holiday, because I've got my Charlie Brown folks. I am pleased to present a check for $1,750 to the Benicia Unified School District to honor the outstanding achievements of the Benicia High School softball and debate teams. I did not know that there was another team coming up, while also acknowledging the hard works of the teachers in the district. At my request, the Solano County Board of Supervisors approved the monetary contribution of $500 to the Benicia High School softball team, $500 to Benicia High School debate team, $250 to Mary Farmer, Robert Semple, and Liberty High School. So the teachers at each of these schools can purchase needed school supplies. As a retired teacher, having spent 39 years in the classroom, I know the importance of providing educators with the tools that they need to teach our children. And so I have a letter, I have a check that's still good because the county wrote it, not me. And one of the things that I would request, and it sounds like I've got Benicia Union folks here, is that the teachers themselves get to decide how to spend the $250. Not to be rude to management, but as somebody who has done this for a while, since I walked with the striking staff today at Kaiser, is that somehow there always seems to be a disconnect that somebody who hasn't been in the classroom for a long time understands what it is that we need in the classroom. And it should be a community effort at a teachers association meeting or staff meeting or whatever. $250 isn't a lot of money, but it might help with some activity that somebody wants to do. So I'm happy that I have it to give. And if I could win Saturday night super lotto, Powerball, whatever it's called, I could be here with some other things that we could do, because Lord knows there's always things that can be done to help with our public schools. And to the young lady, I'm sorry that she left. I was a trustee at Solano Community College, so that's near and dear to my heart too. And yes, to those of you who are paying attention, you can go to Berkeley if you go to Solano Community College. Let me see, my daughter did it. So please, if you want to save money, go to a community college. Nothing wrong with that. We've got wonderful programs. We have biotech for a 4-year degree program. We have the automotive shop, which I think some of you might have been there when we were having some activity. There's lots of things to do. We can do it. And we have great counselors and staff in the Benicia Unified School District, because weren't you a top something as a high school? I think I remember reading something came out. Top something?
Top 40% of
Yeah,
high schools in the
well,
country.
You got somebody that's a top one right there, so that kind of helps you through. So anyway, so thank you very much for the time to speak. And together we'll make sure that everybody can read and write and definitely do math. And notice that I had math third.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Thank you very much. Okay, our next speaker is going to be Lisa DeLorifus. If you welcome to the podium, please.
Just going to pass out some forms. I have an extra one, I think, there if anyone wanted it. No, I have my own, but just in case anyone else wanted one. Okay, good evening. I'm here today to go over some graphs I've created. I used our unaudited actuals as well as the unaudited actuals of some of our surrounding districts to gather the information. The first graph I'm going to explain is the balance comparison with local districts. This shows that surrounding districts have a much lower reserve than Benicia. They are following the state guidelines as the state intended and are able to offer their teachers more. The next one. The next graph is the reserve and restricted balance at end of year. It shows the healthy reserve we have maintained over the last 5 years. We have well over the 10% allowed by the state. Remember, the state has a rule. The next and final graph is the reserve and restricted balance. The last graph is the district revenue versus the BTA salary and benefits. This shows that even with the lower projected revenue due to lower ADA, we are not asking for more than the district has and will receive. The blue shows the increase in revenue versus salary for the 22-23 school year. The green shows the increase for the 23-24 school year, and the purple shows the increase in benefits for both years. I've also included on the last page the district reserve cap requirements for the 23-24 fiscal year, just in case you wanted to see them. That was the notification of school district reserve cap requirements given to the district by the state. We hired 29 teachers in August. Some of the credentialed teachers we tried to hire turned us down for other districts. As a result, we had to hire teachers without credentials to fill some of our vacancies. We need to be more competitive. It will take receiving the cost of living given by the state to make us competitive in salary with surrounding districts. Our benefits are not competitive, so not covering Kaiser Low will mean even more teachers will turn away. The state knows it needs to make the teaching profession more attractive. It has given large sums of money to districts and put a cap on the reserve in order to make this happen. We have such a large amount of money in our reserve, plus a large sum of money in our restricted fund program balances. The money is there. Do the right thing and give your staff what they deserve. We want to get back to focusing on our students. Thank you.
And our last speaker is Michelle Chapman, if you join us at the podium.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe I'll just leave it there. Good evening. I'm speaking actually on behalf of 2 other colleagues that weren't able to speak tonight. The first, she shares, I'm a special education teacher and a new mother. I knew having a child would bring on challenges, and I knew money would be tight. But childcare is currently half my paycheck. The housing market in California is crazy. Renters don't have security, and interest rates are through the roof. The district isn't responsible for the current financial climate, but it should be responsible for taking care of its teachers. I personally know a teacher who applied last year who was highly qualified special education teacher and chose not to take the position in Benicia because the pay was not competitive. Teachers spend a lot of time working to make sure their class is organized and running like a well-oiled machine. However, if a teacher has to work multiple jobs in order to afford a decent lifestyle, we're going to see more and more teachers burnt out and unable to provide quality education to their students. COLA is necessary to survival and well-being of our educators. And my second teacher, I am an 18-year veteran teacher who moved to Benicia last year. I love teaching in Benicia and especially at Robert Semple. I love living in Benicia. It is a wonderful community that I want to be a part of. When you balance your budget, the rule is to spend no more than 30% of your income for rent. Last year, I paid 45% of my monthly income for rent. I do not live in a big fancy house with the amenities that you may think of. It is a two-bedroom, two-bath condo. This year, we were given our past years of experience and moved over on the pay scale accordingly. However, we now have to pay a higher out-of-pocket deduction for our insurance premiums. With those two income changes, I pay 44.3% towards rent. This does not include utilities, food, gas, etc. I want to live in Benicia and be a part of the community I serve. I want to work for Benicia Unified, but I also want to be able to afford to live here. With a bare minimum raise of COLA at 8.22, this does not provide financial relief to many current employees. We need a real increase in our salary to support families to be able to work and stay in this community, our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, there are no more comments from the public this evening. Next up is our item number 11, approval of the consent calendar. And I just want to say the background information on these items is provided to the board prior to the meeting. A common motion takes action without discussion on roll call vote unless discussion of items is requested by the board member or members. So I'd like to see if there's a motion to approve the consent calendar as written.
I'll move to approve the consent calendar as written.
Thank you. May I get a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Can I get a roll call, please?
Yes. President Seda.
Yes.
Trustee Grubbs.
Yes.
Trustee Moss.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli is absent, so we will go to Trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
Thank you.
And without moving forward from here, I want to thank, there's a acceptance of gifts to the district. I want to thank Another Chapter, who is a local nonprofit group in Solano County, and they have generously donated a lot of books at a value of $2,300. So I want to give them a big shout out. So thank you to them. Next is presentations and communication informational items. Sorry. Okay, this is a proclamation, and all of the trustees here have a copy of it, and I'd like to have us read it. The proclamation honors Benicia Unified administrators for their leadership of the educational process and contributions they make to ensure student achievement. The governing board will present a proclamation during October, declaring October 8th to 14th as the week of the school administrators. So I'm going to start it off by saying, whereas leadership matters for California's public education system and more than 6 million students it serves. And
whereas school administrators are passionate lifelong learners who believe in the value of quality public education, and
whereas the title school administrator is a broad term used to define many education leadership posts, superintendents, assistant superintendents, principals, assistant principals, special education and adult education leaders, curriculum and assessment leaders, school and business officials, classified educational leaders, and other school district employees are considered administrators. And
Ms. Hirsch, will you read the two of them?
Yes.
Thank you.
Whereas providing quality service for student success is paramount for the profession, And whereas public schools operate with lean management systems, across the nation, public schools employ fewer managers and supervisors than most public and private sector industries, including transportation, food service, manufacturing, utilities, construction, publishing, and public administration. And
whereas school leaders depend on a network of support from school communities, fellow administrators, teachers, parents, students, businesses, community members, board trustees, college and universities, community health and faith-based organizations, elected officials, and district and county staff and resources to promote ongoing student achievement and school success. And
Whereas research shows great schools are led by great principals and great districts are led by great superintendents. These site leaders are supported by extensive administrative networks throughout the state. And
whereas the state of California has declared the second full week of October as the week of the school administrator in Education Code 44015.1, and
Whereas the future of California's public education system depends on upon the quality of its leadership.
now therefore be it resolved by the Benicia Unified School District Governing Board that all school leaders in the Benicia Unified School District be commended for the contributions they make to ensure successful student achievement.
dated on this 5th day of October, 2023, and each of us will be signing this declaration, or proclamation rather. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. All right. The next item is the first reading of the recommended California School Board Association board policy updates. And I'm going to introduce Dr. Wright.
Okay, good evening. The Board Policy Review Committee, we met on September 18th. We reviewed the CSBA recommended changes to those board policies. If you look in your packet, they should be there for your review. The board would have an opportunity to review them, ask any questions before the November 2nd governing board meeting when it will be placed on the agenda for vote. So between now and then, if you have any questions or need clarification, please feel free to reach out and I or staff will answer any questions you have.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was quick. Next, we have the last item up for this evening is instruction and data expectations to support all learners. Dr. Beatson.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I am really excited to share with you a few new practices that we started this year that sprung from some preliminary state test results. And I want to just qualify that those were preliminary, so all the data wasn't even in yet. So the embargoed session is happening now, and the public release will happen on October 18th. So at the November board meeting, I will bring back to you kind of a much more robust, comprehensive look at data, but these are just a few, like, where were we heading pieces of data. And based on that, we were able to put in some practices that we just were excited to share with you around instructional walks, learning walks, and some data reviews at both the district level and the site level. So basically, again, really quickly highlighting some areas that look like we're doing some great work and doing some growth, and then talking a little bit about where we're looking a little bit flat or even declining, and talking about how does that translate into what we're doing in the classroom with students, and then what do we support with those structures and accountability ways that we can support our staff in that. So as you know, everything that we do is based on our vision, our mission, our equity statement, and our 4 LCAP goals. We have 2 that really focus on academics, so literacy and humanities and math and STEAM. But we also know without goals 1 and 4, the SEL, the social emotional learning, that sense of belonging, and really looking at equitable practices, it gets hard to get to those academic pieces. So it takes that environment and that culture for us to be able to also get to the academics. So again, preliminary, which was they were inputting the data into the system, so it's not 100%, it's not going to stay exactly right here. Overall, in ELA, we are around 49% of students meeting and achieving standard across the district, and for mathematics at about 45%. Those numbers are not where we want them by any means. We're pretty flat. So we're not having huge increases or huge declines, but we're pretty flat as a district, and that is since COVID. So we're really, the state is asking us to really compare ourselves to last year. They're saying don't necessarily look back at the state test prior to COVID because they changed the test quite a bit over COVID, if that makes sense. But if we do peek back before COVID, we were still around that 55%. I do want to note about math, and I will talk more about this when I bring it back at the November board meeting. Structurally, even as a state, there's an off kilter, if you will. And let me talk a little bit about that. So the math state test at the high school level goes through what we would say this, it measures the standards that are covered in Math 1, Math 2, and Math 3. So really 3 years of mathematics. Our graduation policy is that students have to take 2 years of math, but only get through Math 1. So they could choose in their second math course to take personal finance, which is not as heavy in math, and it doesn't align with those Math 2 standards. And so this is not unique to Benicia. This is a statewide kind of alignment issue. We test in 11th grade. In May, when students are taking SAT, PSAT, ACT, AP assessments, and CASP. And so this is not an excuse because we have to look at that data and we have to work on it, but I wanted to set some context around that as well. If that makes sense.
If you don't mind, when we do get there, it would be good to be able to disaggregate and say, okay, out of the kids that got through Math 3,
Yes.
how did they do? How successful were they? Because
Absolutely, and we did that in the past.
I remember,
pre-COVID,
yeah.
And they did really, really well. You would figure because that's really high level math.
they actually saw the math.
Right,
that
they
is
saw
on
the
test
math
as
and they were
opposed to
able
those
to
kids that
do
didn't.
that math. So there is a definite disconnect at that level. But when we look at our scores across the board, we need to really unpack that even
Oh, yeah.
more, right?
Absolutely.
So this slide, and again, I know I'm being a kind of a broken record. It's very preliminary. It's not even to the embargoed state, but I wanted to point out some strengths. And so you can look at our data. Go ahead.
Could you define the embargoed?
Sure.
I heard you. I don't know what that means.
Sure. So this was preliminary. This came out about a month ago, and they started to release the data in a way where it might not have had 100% of all the kids' scores in it yet, but you could start to see where you were. So that was, I'm calling that preliminary data. So parents got reports and it started to load into the system, and we got notified when we got to a certain percentage, but it wasn't necessarily 100%. And I wanted to start getting on this then. Now, I just got notification, I think we got it yesterday, that today the embargoed results, which means all the scores are in there. They're open for us to look at just internally to verify.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's not public
makes sense.
released. And then the state will take any feedback from districts that, you missed our whole 11th grade or whatever that is. And then on October 18th, it's released for public.
Thank you. That makes
Does that make sense?
Thank you very much.
So between the preliminary and the embargoed, there's a little bit of a shifting there because there's more scores in there. So I wanted to point out the two different ways that we can look at data. And again, on November 4th, we're going to go, we'll have to put our seatbelts on because me and data, we'll go into a big, deep data dive. But we had some great cohort growth, and that's when the kids took it in 3rd grade, and then how did they do in 4th grade? So when we can look at those same students and how do they perform from year to year. And again, we're only looking really at last year's scores and this year's. So you can see that we had some, I can't see it that far. We had some great cohort growth in 3rd to 4th grade, and then 6th to 7th. And I was really looking at at least a 4 percentage point increase or decrease to just put it on this chart. And I also wanted to acknowledge in ELA 3rd to 4th grade. And then you can also look at it. So this is the programmatic piece. So did students grow? That's your cohort growth. And then as a grade level. So 3rd grade last year to 3rd grade this year, that's your program. You start to look at programs and look for patterns over time. And so you can see that we had grade levels that made some very lovely growth. So in 4th grade and 5th grade, we saw some growth in math, and 3rd grade and 11th grade in ELA. And then I also had to do where are some opportunities for further digging. And so we had some cohort decline. We typically see a decline from 5th to 6th. And so we're going to dig into that some more and look at our curriculum, both at the elementary and the math. We're going to pull up the state sample problems and look at the 5th grade problems compared to the 6th grade problems. See, like, are they in a nice trajectory alignment, or is there a huge stepping stone, and that's something we need to look at, right? You can see that we had some decline in English as well. Again, that 5th to 6th grade and a little bit in middle school, so we're working on that. And then in math and ELA as well. Any questions on that? And again, I'll bring that back with, we can't look at disaggregated data yet with this, so we'll get more as we go. But this really prompted us to say, what can we start doing now before we even have the rest of the scores to start getting ourselves calibrated? So one of the charges that we have, and we are working really hard to do, is try to get kids to grow more than 1 year's growth in 1 year's time, because we're trying to remediate the effects of COVID. And we know that that's going to take longer than 1 or 2 years. And so what we're doing are learning walks at each site. So every Wednesday right now for the fall, we have administrators that are signing up to go to other sites besides their own to do learning walks and go through classrooms. I want to, and I'll talk about this a little bit more on the next slide, it's not evaluative, but that program is really to help us make sure that we're all looking with the same level of expectation for what classroom practice is. We can have conversations, so we're calibrating ourselves as we walk through classrooms. Are we in alignment? Are we calibrated with what we see in classrooms? Because then we can turn around and support teachers in a much more comprehensive way.
Did you guys come up with the idea? Did you get it from somewhere else? It's unique, I think. The idea.
Well, we did walkthroughs years and years and years ago. We're doing it a little bit differently this year, so I scheduled them for the Wednesdays for the fall, and then we'll go on Tuesdays in the spring, and we're asking folks to do that vertical. So that idea has been around for a long time, but the group is a little bit bigger. We usually have about 6 administrators, so it's district office administrators and site leaders coming in, so it's great for the high school folks to come, that we walked through the middle school. The middle school folks were walking through the elementary. Some of the high school folks went to the elementary, and you can start to see, like, where are our kids going? What does it look like? And then you have that sort of global appreciation as well.
And like, are sticky notes or something, or are you
So
just kind of looking to see what you see, or?
You guys are, yes. So right now, what we're doing is doing some global, just what are we noticing? And we're leaning in, and we're trying to look at what students are learning. Not yes, what the teacher's doing, but more, what are the students learning? Can we tell by talking to the students? What are you learning today? How do you know if you've learned it? Let's look at your work. Can we find what the teaching point is? Some of that work that we were doing, right? And so we're looking for student learning, evidence of student learning. And then as we calibrate that, and this is kind of the next piece that we're talking about, is really focusing on best first instruction. And I'm jumping all over the place here, but so what are the strategies that really move the needle, regardless of the content? And there's been so much research out there, from Marzano to John Hattie to McCrell, just companies that say they've done meta researches on, here are the 8 or the 10 strategies that really make a difference. So for instance, direct instruction is one of them. Not that you do that, bell to bell every single day, but that's a strategy kids really need to know. What is it that you expect? How do you do it? How do you model it? Student engaging with content, building, applying their knowledge. So doing something and then applying it to something that's more robust. The types of questions you ask. So there's particular things. And so what we've done as a district is we're going to look for a clear focus for learning, which means, what are we teaching? Do the students know what the expected outcome is? Not just I'm doing page 3, but I'm really learning how to add and subtract fractions with unlike denominators, right? So they can really understand what the learning is, not the task, right? And that gets back to your standards and all of that. Because if we're really clear on that, then students are going to learn. And then each site is picking, and I'm pointing to this, you can't see it, but we've made this handy dandy, here are the strategies, right? And so instead of saying we're going to do all of them this year, each site is then working together to pick a second one. And so as we go through the year with these learning walks, and we'll provide resources and some professional development opportunities around those for the sites, we can then go in on our learning walks and see how it's going. Does that make sense? So it'll get more focused as we go. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So weekly walkthroughs and really focusing and teaching on these best first instruction practices. Another piece is really using our data. So now that we use the NWEA data, which is the assessment we give 3 times a year, it's very highly connected to CASP, looks very similar. Really teaching our administrators and our teachers how to look at that data. It will get down to, you can look at your class profile. You can look at the standard that you're trying to teach, and it will cluster students based on how they did. So then you know, I need to pull this group for a pre-teach or a reteach of that particular standard. And then there's even, as we keep going down this path, you can then reassess just on a, if I'm reteaching how to do, unlike denominators, you can do some short assessment and say, did that reteaching work? Really using that data to drive the instruction in a really systematic way. And so that's what the other 2 pieces is, using the data for data reviews and then having teachers work together to say, okay, what is my data looking like? What am I going to do? How am I going to apply this to my teaching next week? So kind of pulling out what am I teaching and then going into that program to say, okay, what are some things that I can do? The other neat thing about the NWEA data is it can link to one of our supplementary curriculum called Imagine Math. And so it will plug in and then it can help kids know which things they should work on. And so it's self-service.
They could do it on their own.
They can do it on their own.
Is that active now?
If a student is in a math class, they can go into Clever and get onto Imagine Math. Yep. So I just kind of talked about the learning walk, so I'm going to, yes.
Communities of practice on the last slide.
Um,
or I'm sorry, you're not done with the learning walks.
Nope, that's right. Communities of practice are really a professional learning community. It's a group of professionals who sit together around a common topic, use some data to then talk about, okay, this is what we need to do next week. So it's just a different.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. So just some highlights. We've visited Mary Farmer, Joe Henderson, Matthew Turner, and Benicia Middle School. We've had more than 27 administrators participate because we just did one yesterday as well. And things that we've just noticed, our students are engaged in small and large group instruction. They're ensuring that others in their group have contributed. It's really great to watch students. They were ready to move on. They were working in a group and somebody said, no, we haven't heard from so-and-so. And they asked them to chime in. They're working independently. They're proud to show off their work. And when we've asked, what are you learning? I'm learning consonant, vowel, consonant. That was one that you talked to. I think it was a kindergartner, was able to say that. So that's evidence that they're learning, right? I'm understanding this concept. I'm learning to expand my writing from small moments. And so that was an elementary student. No, actually that was at a middle school, and they were doing that kind of writing. I'm learning to find evidence in the text to support the question. That was a middle school student as well. And then a little TKers. I'm learning the letter T.
How's the buy-in been with the teachers on the learning walks? Pretty good? Sweet. Thank you.
So again, connecting, making sure that our administrators really know what they're looking for and so that they can support their teachers, providing teachers with best first instruction strategies and buy-in where the sites will choose some, and then we'll put together a library of resources for staff to use around that. But I just really liked this quote, best first instruction is the skillful use of proven teaching techniques that are intentionally sequenced to help all students convert new learning into long-term memory. And so one of the articles that we read as a staff, and I can send it to you, or as an admin team, was really comparing the science of learning and the science of teaching. And so connecting those two, like how do you take what you're teaching and get kids to move it from their short-term into their long-term memories? And one of those strategies. Just a cute one, research shows that when we combine the science of learning and the science of teaching, we dramatically improve the chances that all students succeed as learners without special interventions beyond occasional targeted supports in small groups. So that's our target. That's what we're trying to go for. And then these are the best first instruction strategies, the things that I showed you on this page. As a district, we're doing clear focus for learning, and then each site is picking a second one to really focus on over the course of the year, and we'll provide them resources for that. And then we had to say, so for ourselves, what do we contribute to that? As a district office, we're participating in those learning walks. We're providing some professional development. We're going to help provide data and train people in how to look at that data. We'll sit side by side with you on that. For our site leaders, we're expecting, you need to be in classrooms. You need to be able to see what's happening and support teachers every week. And at the secondary, we know there's a lot of kids there every 2 weeks at the high school at least. I heard this analogy once, which is if you're a coach, a football coach, when the game is on, where's the coach? Coach is in the field as much as possible. We know it can't be 100% of the time, but really getting that
I
participation.
think it's being someone still in the classroom. I also think it's good for the kids to see the site leaders
Absolutely.
out and about.
Absolutely. And this is we're all in this together, right? This is that kind of work. The other thing with site leaders is really using that data with their site team. So their leadership team, their department chair team, so that they're constantly looking at it and not just looking at it and admiring it, but saying, how does this impact what I need to do next week? And then with teachers is really using the curriculum that we're providing. And we know that we have some more that we need to update for sure. Knowing our standards, so we'll work on that as well. That's what am I supposed to be teaching, and really understanding that piece, providing those opportunities for relearning and reteaching, and participating with their colleagues and really saying, what, you're doing something really great that's working. What is that? How can I do that too? So really providing that.
Is there time structured in on a weekly basis for that? I mean, at the various levels for teachers to get together and
So
talk
staff
about all
meetings, probably not on a week. I mean, they have their planning Fridays that they can choose to get together on and do it.
That's all three, elementary, junior high, and high school, or?
Elementary and middle, but high school has not common planning time. They have their prep times, and then they have department meetings, and so that
They have common preps, though? I mean,
they don't have common prep, but they could use some of their department meeting time for that, or they can use staff meeting time. Like sometimes what's happening is at a staff meeting, you might divide up into departments or divide up into grade level teams to look at that kind of data. So we've got
it's good to have the time to do, because these things are good. I mean, you sit, when I taught math, be able to say, hey, we gave a common test. Your kids did way better on this than mine. How'd you teach it? So we could go back, but there's got to be the time for that built in.
And so it's looking at
people don't tend to get together otherwise.
Right. It's looking at the time that we have and structuring it differently, right, for sure. And we have so many experts in the room. We're walking through these classrooms and there's just amazing things happening. And so and the other thing we have to say is we know great teaching is happening, and then how does that translate to why some of our scores are flat? Like what's the reason behind that?
So I was wondering, in the past, we did teacher walkthroughs. So are teachers being afforded that opportunity to visit other classrooms?
Great question, and we have talked about that, and we wanted to get started, and then we're going to, the conversation I've started to have with principals is, let's get us started at the admin level, and then I think for comfort level for teachers, they may want to do their own sites first, so how can we build that in, and then build up to teachers going cross sites. So absolutely. Absolutely.
Rough finding subs for that. But
I know. That's the trick.
rough.
Sometimes they do prep period walks. I know at the high school, Brianna will do prep period walks for anyone that wants to join, and she'll ask people, are you okay if we come in? And then people who want to go on their prep, they can do that. That's one way to, it's not ideal, but it's one way to try to get people out and about for volunteering. So that's what I had for you. I just wanted to share some of the work that we're doing, and I'll bring.
Very much. Appreciate it.
That's great. Thank you, Dr. Beetson. And our next item is our action items, and we don't have any this evening. So I would like to close our meeting this evening. It's 7:03. Our next meeting is going to be, November. Can you believe that? Thursday, November 2nd, 2023. We will see you then. Thank you for joining.